All right. So with the High Priestess being the overall, like I've always said, when it comes to her, this is like intuitively knowing something, but not really having the facts to support it. It's also about hidden information that does become available. It can definitely show secrets, things that you may be keeping to yourself and things that they may be keeping to themselves. Now, with the Four of Cups, as far as what's coming through here on your side, especially looking at the Queen of Swords on their side, this is either about how they're looking at you or you're just like not interested in them playing the cold shoulder. Right now, on the other hand, it may be that you're not interested, but they're seeing you as being a little bit cold and shut off. Right now, moving out of that though, with the Seven of Pentacles, this is you really not being too satisfied with what you have to see or what you have to show for everything that you put into this relationship. Like I've always said with the Seven of Pentacles, I question on whether or not the person is actually seeing the results that they want to see. But it is about what can we do to continue growth. Now, the Empress on their side, this again could definitely be about how they're looking at you. That, or we're dealing with another female here. It could be, baby mama drama issues, which is possible here, right? Some of you may not be satisfied, especially, if you're dealing with the situation on the other person's side. You may not be happy with, what you have in terms of this relationship because of this situation or this person. Now, on the other hand, if this is how they're looking at you, it may be where you were cold and shut off. Maybe you're being a little bit more open, a little bit more nurturing here and wanting to create more abundance in the relationship because you're taking a look at what can continue growth. The problem though is that you move into the Hermit. This is taking a step back. And with the High Priestess, it's definitely about things that you're kind of keeping to yourself right now and things that you're trying to figure out. It's not that you're being deceptive, and I don't see that on their side either. And I don't think that it's about, them kind of keeping this secret from you, especially if they're dealing with another person. Now definitely it could be that there is like a mother-in-law type issue or a mother figure type issue. It just depends here with the Empress. But you though may feel like you're on your own. And it may be that, I don't feel like you're isolating yourself. I don't think that that's it at all. It's either that you feel like you're on your own in this relationship because they need to figure out, what they need to do here. But I also feel like, in terms of the Page of Wands being connected to that, this is, them getting good news, right? And possibly them wanting to share it with you. But I think that you need a minute to like almost process it. Because there are some other things that you're clearly like needing to talk about, things that you may have been keeping to yourself, because with the Ace of Swords, this is, especially on your side, the truth coming out, right? And I'm seeing this a lot, people being open and honest about how they feel in regards to a relationship and dealing with another person. The Three of Cups, right? And this is what I'm talking about with the Empress. We could definitely be talking about another person being involved, wanting truth and clarity on this situation. The King of Pentacles may be the other person here kind of getting their life together, and that may be where the good news is coming through for them. But then this could also be about support and them being a little bit more supportive toward you and, maybe your own family issues, especially if you're the one that is the mother figure, right? If there are children involved, things like that, maybe you need them to be more available and more open. And maybe that's what they're showing here, right? Because the Three of Cups would suggest support, but with the High Priestess, especially with the Ace of Swords, let's clear up situations with other people that you may be dealing with. And then the Page of Cups. You may be dealing with somebody who is very emotionally immature. That may be the third party in this situation that is causing problems between you and, the person that you are focused on. That's what this feels like to me. The Three of Pentacles with the Eight of Cups, like I said, I don't think that this has to do with you. I think that what this person is trying to do here is kind of like get a handle on, their own life especially in terms of money and career, with the King of Pentacles being there, but then also being open and available to you and giving of themselves to you, and not just constantly having to focus on another person or another situation. With the Eight of Cups and the Three of Pentacles, I think that as long as, you know, the truth is known for you, you don't have a problem with working with them while they're trying to figure this out and while they try to move on from this or move away from it, because it's not worth the emotional effort for them anymore anyway. The Five of Swords and the Five of Wands. The problem is that if they are dealing with another person here, they're not going to be very happy about it. And I think that they're intentionally saying something to you that is going to hurt. And I don't blame you for being angry about the situation or wanting to fight back. You know, because I feel like this is an outside influence that isn't really fair to the other person. You know, and again, guys, right, general message, but this is really what I'm seeing out of this. The Page of Cups, especially with the Five of Swords, somebody who is emotionally immature here, who is saying things just to be hurting you, especially with the Page of Swords. And it's almost like, you know, if they can't get what they want from the other person, then they're going to drag you into it. That's kind of what I feel like looking at this. Now with the Page of Cups, right, this absolutely is about feeling something new, but I don't think that you're feeling anything new in regards to the relationship. I think that, you know, the Three of Pentacles is already showing your willingness to work with them or help them out in dealing with this. But I think that somebody is trying to communicate something to you to make you feel different. You know, like they want you to feel differently about them and the other person, but I feel like it's manipulative. I really do. You know, and I think that what they're trying to do is tell you things that may not exactly be true, because you guys know how I feel about the Page of Swords. I don't like that little bastard. It drives me nuts. Because this is somebody who doesn't know how to process the information that's being given to them, or they're using information for their own benefit. It's half-truths. I don't ever question the truth with the Knight of Swords. With the Page of Swords, yeah. And the King of Swords. And I think that, if I could just spit it out here, like, I don't think that you are wanting to cheat on anybody. I don't think that that's it, but I also feel like you're not wanting to open up and be available for somebody who can't figure out their own situation. The Six of Cups. This could definitely be about a past relationship, but, you know, I look at this one and I see somebody who is looking at how things used to be, right, and looking back at the past and kind of wanting that to return. But with the Devil, right, it's also understanding that this relationship from the past was based on lust. That is what the Devil is about. It's not about anything else. You know, it's about lust, having that physical connection, and nothing really after that. So somebody may have been acting in this way. Now, with the Moon, right, for a lot of you, I do think that this is going to represent some kind of like confusion for you when it comes to dealing with this person, especially if you feel like they're your soulmate. Now, the Moon is about living out a fantasy, but it's the other person, and I don't think that you're comfortable with it, because again, the Devil is showing up, right? And the Eight of Swords is about being put in an uncomfortable position. I'm not comfortable with this, and I'm not comfortable with allowing you to live out your fantasies, especially if they're only based on lust. Now, that is where I feel like for some of you, you may be the King of Swords. Male, female, doesn't matter to me. And if it's the other person, male, female, air sign, don't care. This is what's being projected out. This is somebody who is not emotionally available, not open, not really expecting much from this relationship, or, you know, may not even be completely interested. And it may be because this person is like all over the place and not able to kind of figure out what they need to in regards to a relationship that they may be involved in. You know, and I don't necessarily feel like you want to deal with a cheating scenario. You know, because the Three of Swords is about somebody who needs to get the balls to leave a situation that they're not happy with, instead of standing around and watching it happen. You know, or we could be talking about a person who doesn't really care about the other person that they're dealing with, and they just want to have, you know, their fantasies realized. Oh, yeah. And then the Nine of Swords. Okay, so the Ten of Pentacles, let's start there. The Ten of Pentacles, what the creator was trying to get across here is it is about self-reflection. How do you see yourself in this relationship, especially if you're wanting to be in a relationship that is fruitful, so to speak, or abundant, or feels comfortable and fulfilling? Who are you? Who are you in this relationship? You know, especially if you're dealing with somebody who only cares about, you know, getting what they can from you. Now, with the Hermit, right, especially if you're being put in this position, you may be looking at it going, this isn't exactly what I envisioned. You know, because the Hermit is looking at other relationships, or, you know, looking at how they want their relationship to be and looking at what they can do to actually make that happen or create that spark, so to speak. But it's you going, you know, this isn't what I wanted. And you may take a step back. Like, take a step back from this person. Now, with the Nine of Swords, here's the thing. The Nine of Swords and the Three of Cups, and I've been talking about this a lot. With this deck, it's the same idea, but different aspects. It is about getting back together. The Three of Cups would be the best case scenario. The healing of a broken heart, getting back together and healing issues. The Nine of Swords, this is like, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't do this anymore, especially if your thoughts are in a place of not being happy with this, especially if there are fears and anxieties with dealing with a person who is not taking care of other issues or other relationships, but still wants to be involved with you. You know, that's not what you want to have happen, you know, and maybe that this is not the best thing for you to do, being involved with this person, you know. And I hate saying that, especially with the soulmate card showing up, right? But as far as that goes, anybody can be your soulmate. I mean, if we're all connected, then we're all each other's soulmates, but you may feel like a really special connection with this person. And, you know, I think that you kind of get to the point where you realize that maybe they're pushing you in a different direction, because sometimes soulmates show up to push us back on the right path, and usually they leave, right? They may stay for a while, but eventually they leave your life once you're back on the right path. And this may be the case here. You may be dealing with a soulmate that's putting you through hell, but ultimately is trying to lead you on the right path. With the Six of Wands, you're talking about somebody who is putting themselves out there, because this is a really great romance, right? The Five of Pentacles is like the classic romance, and it's good, right? But, you know, with the Empress and the Eight of Pentacles, the problem is that you may be dealing with, you know, a relationship here where there is, you know, a lot of romance, a good connection, but somebody in the relationship is really trying to get your attention, I feel like. But, you know, you may not be willing to give it right now. There may be some things that need to be discussed. And I think that some of you may feel like the person that you're with is looking past that. You know, and again, you have the Empress, which worries me about, you know, another situation that you may have to deal with here. And I feel like for you, you're kind of like, I'm not playing around anymore. You know, I mean, definitely you could be focused on other things. Usually this is somebody who's more focused on their career. But I think that the reason why, you know, you're not really wanting to connect right now with the person that you're with is because something needs to be talked about. But what I find interesting is with the Six of Pentacles, it's like they feel like they're not getting the attention that they deserve from you. But with Death, it's because something needs to be over with. Like, you can't continue to act this way and have the relationship be what it was or what it should be and what it is, right? Because I feel like it's a really good relationship, but there is some other outside issue that I feel like the other person is ignoring, you're not willing to do anymore, and something does need to change. Death is definitely about something that is changing within the relationship. You're not going to go back to the way that things were, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is over or that it's a really bad change. But definitely something needs to be done and over with in order for the relationship to change. And then the Ten of Wands. yeah, right? Like those burdens and whatever is being carried around with this person, they can't just, they need to get rid of it. We can't just, it's almost like, how do I put this? I want you, I want you, I want your attention, I want your attention, but I'm not really dealing with the issues that I need to deal with. And you see that. Now, with the Hierophant, like I've been saying a lot this week, the Hierophant in this deck is specifically about spiritual support for a relationship, okay? But it is looked at as the narcissist because of the image, but that is not what the card is about. So are you lacking that kind of support within the commitment, right? Like, I feel like you're dealing with somebody who has got another issue that they need to take care of, but they're not really doing it. And I think that you kind of get to the point where you're done. You're going to have to take care of this now. With the Five of Swords, that issue may be that they feel inadequate or may not feel like they are enough because they may be carrying around some baggage, especially with the Ten of Wands showing up. And that Empress could be another problem, which I find interesting, especially considering the other reading. And needing to heal family issues. The Five of Swords, this is about somebody who was made to feel like they weren't good enough. And it's about overcoming those inadequacies. But where their shortcomings are, I don't think that that's a concern for you. I think that the concern is the fact that they're not dealing with those shortcomings, even if it's an outside, problem or influence here, especially with the Empress. And I don't think that it's you feeling inadequate. I feel like, it's about the shortcomings of the other person. Now, with the Ten of Wands, one of the things that I talk about with this one is you're talking about two people who are just getting together to relieve pressure, but not really dealing with anything, right? And we can't do that anymore with death being there. Those problems need to be done and over with, right? Instead of somebody sitting around and complaining that they're not getting attention from you, well, you would if you took care of some issues, And I don't feel like this is about somebody cheating. I don't think that that's it. I think that there are already issues there. I think this is otherwise a really good relationship, but there is another influence that's looking to cause problems, is what I feel like.